Good morning to one and all, and I welcome you all for the course on Big Data Analytics. Myself, I'm Dr. Bhuvaneshwari, Associate Professor in Department of Computer Applications, Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore, and I would like to thank the organizers for providing me platform to share the knowledge on Big Data Analytics. Now, we'll have a glance on the course of Big Data Analytic contents. So the course has been organized into 5 modules covering the topics on moving towards big data, why, big data perspectives, big data framework and technologies, followed by big data analytic tools and big data applications. And now, the first session for the course is moving towards big data, why, and the outline of the content for the today's session will be briefing on data, big data timeline predictions, and the data landscape towards big data. Now, a question of what is data? So once we have the question of data, all of us will be pushed up with two important definitions. One is data is collection of raw facts, and somebody will also say that data is collection of information, and somebody we also say that data is stored in structured format in databases, or we call it as collection of records. Is everything right? Is everything is 100% correct? Whatever definition we leave with data for a long period of time is accurate, and it is right to say that data is all these things, whatever we say. It's a raw fact, it is an information, it's collection of structured data, it has been stored in databases. Now, why the question has been put up with what is data? Data has meaning beyond this. So, the answer for the question of what is data will be made very clear and precise once we have a brief discussion of the contents at the end, after the end of the session. Now, we'll leave this question of data, what it is, for a while, and we'll move on into the other important understanding that is being required to know the moving towards big data, why. Data landscape. So again, it may be called as roadmap, how data has evolved itself and transformed into big data. It is what is going to be discussed in this slide of data landscape. And you look into the slide of data landscape, it has so many components between embedded and integrated together. And I will like to brief the data landscape in 3 different categories. How the hardware has evolved in a due course of time, what is your technologies and applications that has been evolved, and what are the technologies that contributed to such kind of application, and what is the storage capacity and storage size it increased, and what made data to move from a normal fact to something we call it as big data, and why do we call that particular data as big data. So let us go back to the previous history. So I'm not going to discuss or give a brief overviewing of all the basics, what all of you are very clear with. We'll start with the basic understanding of all these concepts what I have said you with respect to hardware, with respect to your processing, with respect to the application, and with respect to the storage size, which evolve data into big data. And to start with, we'll look into it. So 1960s or 1970s, when computing slowly started emerging, we call it as electronic format started emerging. When electronics started emerging, computers started emerging, people started using these computers for storing their information in form of files. And this was being done by almost all business organization in form of Word files or as an Excel files. Earlier, which has been called as WordStar, or it has been called as Lotus. It is again in worksheet format. So people stored this information represented in the form of documents, particularly for maintaining the storage as a bi-level entry. One is your manual notebook, another one in the electronic devices. And these data has been stored in floppies earlier. So this continued for a while of time, but due to the storage of these things and the improvement in computing environment started, development in hardware, there came a wonderful technology, I call it as database management system. So DBMS is no more, we call it as a tool or we call it as a software alone. DBMS is something more valued because it is a very core component that sits in all computing environment, whatever we look into. So when database management system was introduced during the year of 1980, so people started looking into this DBMS, where DBMS facilitated related data into a single container. So where people can build applications for decision making. This was idea how DBMS was made, and when DBMS came in, again there was a wonderful programming application developed called as SQL, which made any kind of user to query the data that has been available in database management system. When DBMS came in, people started using two personal computers into the environment for viewing the applications. At the same time, when DBMS came in, applications such as decision support system, management information system came in slowly for every organization to support the top level managers. So when a sales manager want to take the data available in DBMS is being retrieved in some form and put into the area manager or the CEO or the director of the company to know some queries about their sales, area sales, performance of sales manager, which was being done with all decision support system and MIS management information system. And some applications such as our EV bill processing, our telephone bill processing, which has been executed in batch processing environment, again stored in databases. So DBMS came in, there were two types of application. One is desktop application, another one is batch processing application, and we started using personal computers, the computers on our own desk, rather than going to a specific computing environment such as mainframe systems. And slowly, when DBMS matured itself as a technology, there came in another wonderful technology called as internet. And all of us, we agree that internet is a wonderful technology which changed the entire walkthrough of human lives, where we couldn't imagine our life during this pandemic without these two technologies. One is your internet, another one it is your database. When these two technologies were not available to us, we wouldn't have been gone to this level where we all of us are connected in the environment to carry over our work. So these are the two technologies that contributed and changed our lives. So internet came in during late 90s. When internet came into a technology, it was so wonderful that sharing of information, it becomes very easy. So the question arises here now. This sharing didn't happen with database management system. No, sharing happened with database management system within an organization. Now, when you want to transfer and share your data across geographical boundaries, to share your data, we need internet as a technology. And again, we look in, there came about different computing environments such as distributed computing environment. And whenever we talk about internet with databases, banking is a domain which help us to understand the overall, richness of these kind of technologies where we enjoy ourselves. Now, banking has become very simple. Any gazette, anywhere, anytime in a 24/7 environment. But this was not earlier in the period of 1990s. So when you have an account in a bank, you have to get into the corresponding bank to do all your transaction. But internet with DBMS hold it together, made the applications to be moved across environment, and again brought in with lot of benefits to the business organization as well as to the individuals for a healthier lifestyle also. So when these two technologies came in, then enterprise applications started being developed. So ERP softwares. So there are different type of ERP softwares where software solutions has been given for organization from entry level to exit level globally across to share their data across geographical boundaries. So when internet came in, it paved way to CRM and ERP system, the enterprise application, and all the applications has been converted into web-based applications. When you look into the last layer of the hardware technologies in the slide, we can see it. Mainframe systems, personal computers, network computers, and websites. Now, still now, all of us we are comfortable with web-based application. All our application has been done, our railway ticket booking, airline reservation, EB bill payment. We do everything as a web-based application. And all organizations were able to maintain its entry to exit round the globe, such as Amazon, which has business spread across boundaries, were able to manage with a single software as an enterprise software which provides solution. When this happened, again, there are different type of innovation, different type of decision-making systems brought in. One, it is knowledge management systems or data mining and data warehouse came in. So web matured as a technology, then we started about finding out why should I store the data, what is the data is going to say for me. Data mining came as again a wonderful technology which helps to identify the hidden knowledge that has been hidden inside the databases. So from DBMS, it's a storage. Data warehouse, it's again a data storage. Data mining, which helps us to again fetch information. We'll be discussing about the core technologies, which is very closely related to big data during the session of big data frameworks and technologies. Now we'll have an understanding of something, how these technologies help to move our data into a big data landscape. So now when we look onto the storage, earlier we had floppy disk, then we moved into CD drives, then we move into DVD drives. Now we have flash drives, flash disk, which stores large amount of information. Now extra we had some more thing, carry over hard disk. We do a carry over hard disk. So it indicates the volume of data that has been increased in due course of time, say from 1970s to say 2010 and 2020. So all these things finally ended with one important thing called as a component called as data. And this data after 2012 is called as big data with variety of characteristics, which again will be discussed in the session of big data perspectives, transforming data to big data. So this is your technology landscape that made data to get transformed into big data. So big data doesn't evolve immediately at one single step. It is the improvisation of technologies in terms of hardware, in terms of storage, in terms of components, your software architecture, such as DBMS, data warehouse, data mining, applications which generated data, leading something to big data, which has a variety of characteristics, as all of you would have heard, such as volume, velocity, variability, and many more. I think you are clear with this data landscape. Now, after understanding how my data has been transformed from small data to big data, we'll just look on and go through about what are the predictions people have done in various times related to big data. Now, is big data has immediately jumped in now, and it has become a very hot catchy word that has been browsed by everybody. Everywhere we can hear one single word coming up: big data, artificial intelligence, and so many things. What is the fusion of all these? Again has to be understood, because big data is nothing. No technology is going to be idle. It is again going to be an collaborative technologies which is going to benefit the individual users. Now, looking into the timeline of big data predictions. So, in 1944, Yale Library is the largest library around the globe, predicted that in 2040 we'll have approximately large volumes of data. Again in 2040, we are predicted that our data size of volumes of measurement is going to get increased. So it has happened before your computing technology matured. In 1961, again there is a timeline prediction that the number of digital articles, that is your journals, articles, literatures, is found to grow exponential, doubling every 15 years, and it is going to get increased every half century. Now all of us, we will be very clear, when internet came in there were only few blogs. Now when you look in lot of webinars, it doubles. Now when you look in the COVID pandemic, lot of webinars and YouTube panels has been coming. YouTube channels has been popped up with lot of webinars. It has been increased to a larger extent, to the doubling amount or into a triple D existing before your COVID pandemic. So when we look into scientific journals, earlier there were only few journals. But now when you look and search for any specific title in internet, you need somebody to give you your relevant task. Again, people predicted that, and we are in the current scenario. And again in 1975, Ministry of Post and Telecommunication in Japan, they introduced words as a unifying unit of measurement. How many words you transfer, that is we called as unit of measurement. So now we can understand the importance of something called as data, which is represented internally in a unit of measurement in forms of bytes or bits or whatever it is. So again, we categorize the data transferred with a unit of measurement. Again, these prediction happened in 1975, where no DBMS came in or no internet was being available or no internet has been come up. And in 1997, the first article has been published by authors Michael Cox and David Ellsworth in ACM Digital Library, coining the term, initially the first persons to coin the term as big data. So the term has been coined in 1997. The prediction of the doubling and the exponential volume of data that will be available in the digital environment has been prediction right from 1944 to 1997. Now, big data has already been named in 1997, but the data has been exploded to greater heights during the period of 2010, and it has gained its popularity by itself in the period of 2012. Why in 2010 and why in 2012? Why not in 2009 or 2020? There should be specific answers for this. When did your big data technology mature itself as an important technology? So it exploded to greater height in 2010 and become popular in 2012. Shall we look into the reason why and how it has become only in this specific years? And before getting into that, we look on to the data explosion and attention. And when you look into big data explosion and attention, and we have to answer two questions. Big data exploded in the year 2010. Why in 2010? Why not? Yes, the outbreaking technology, social media platform, was emerged during the period of 2010-8 and slowly got itself to reach a height in 2010. And in the current scenario, all of us are socially connected. Particularly, we understand the strength of all these social media platforms during this pandemic of COVID. So, social media platforms generated huge volumes of data, not only with social media platforms. Again, there is another technology that is being coming up called as Internet of Things. So IoT is again a technology which helped us all our physical gadgets to turn into a smarter gadget. So I want my chair to be smarter, my door to be smarter, my watch to be smarter, and my shoe to be smarter, and everything to be smarter. So all my physical component, it's going to give us some indication, turning itself, getting connected to the computing environment. So big data explosion took place, reached to the greater heights because of social media data. And because of social media data, we have to understand clearly how. And this social media data is being generated from social media platforms such as Twitter and Facebook earlier, and now you have so much of other posts such as Instagram, WhatsApp, and so many things. And why made social media platforms so rich in data? The reason is one platform which helped to share our opinions and view. When internet came in, search engine helped to only retrieve the available information. Even blogs were available. Everybody were not able to write the blogs because it is been specific to techie in nature. But social media platform change, have us our opinion to connect digitally across people, share our views, share all form of files in a moment of time without any training is been required. So the simplicity of the social media platform and the connectivity of social media platform to multiple users held up with or exploded data generated to a larger height, and where big data actually fit in is during 2010. And when we look into it, we can say that 2 terabytes, how many terabytes of data is generated every day in Google? 12 TB of data is every day generated in Twitter, and 25 terabyte are logged every day in Facebook. These are all the figures, say, way back of 3 years or 4 years. 30 billion RFID tags, smart autos, smart cars, smart watches, all those things. 4.6 billion cameras, Instagram photos. So you know how many photos you upload regularly in your Instagram sites or something. And 100 millions of GPS enabled. Now all of us are GPS enabled. Every time we are digitally connected, which shares lots and lots of data, and billions of people are connected in the web. So this led to explosion of data. So whenever the data exploded, again all these data is being stored in one format, represented in a storage device. Let it be either DBMS or a file or something. Now the question it is, what we are going to do with this data? It is a question. Since data is generated, something has to be done with data. So that again we will be discussing while discussing the case scenario. So 2010, why big data exploded? Because of social networking. Why is social networking paid way it is? Because of its simplicity and richness in connectivity, paid way of generating larger exponential volumes of data. And now we are into the word called as data deluge. So what is deluge? It is, so we are drowning somewhere. So somebody puts a blanket over us, right? Everywhere we can see bits and pieces of data. That too, huge volume of data is being generated, and everywhere around the globe, and the data that is being generated, it is higher than the physical universe. And now we have our own digital universe where data is my planet, which is a driver, takes me to drive the digital world. Without data, you could not drive the digital world. Only data is a driving force which helps you to move to connectivity, move, do things, make smarter, and do all those things. Deluge, it is drowning. We are drowning in data. So deluge, it is more somebody, we need somebody to help and hold hands and say, this is right and this is wrong. Why data deluge? So when you look in every 60 seconds, just in 60 seconds, we do 168 million emails are sent. 6 lakh 94 searches has been done. 70 plus domains has been registered. So much of blog posts, so much of videos has been uploaded in your YouTube channels, Instagrams, and so many things. So every 60 seconds, lots and lots and volumes of data is being filed up inside your databases. Now, my dear participants, we have to understand that we do generate data. And once we generate data, understand that this data is stored inside and storage component. Say DBMS is a storage component or any other component. File is a storage component, and we need technologies, right, to understand, analyze. So we need technologies such as data mining. We need technologies such as data analytics. We need technologies as whatever we say, machine learning, AI, to get us and show what is available in these data. And once we have done, data has become a rich source of information. So we are in data deluge. And again, looking into our facts for a better understanding of evolution of data. Every 2 days, we generate more information what we have generated before 2003. 90% of data in the world was created not in the past 2 years, past 4 years. This is somewhat old. And it has been expected that, see, we are in 2020. The amount of digital information will grow from 3.2 zettabytes to 40 zettabytes. Yes, it is accurate and it is actual, it is correct. The prediction is wonderful. Every minute we send 204 million emails, generate 1.8 million Facebook likes, send 278,000 tweets, and upload so much of photos to your Facebook. Now, just when we think of ourselves as data generators, just have a moment of what amount of data you consumed and what amount of data you generated during the COVID curfew of past 60 days. Yes. All of us, we consume more and more data. We couldn't live without our data connectivity. We need internet as a connectivity to share with lot of users. So more data consumption has been happened. We need even 1 GB or 2 GB of data, or it is not sufficient for us. And did we generate data? Yes, we generated. We shared lots of WhatsApp. We shared lots of greetings. We greeted actually all our relatives, even for marriages and for others, only through our digital media platforms such as Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, and all our authorities, your governance, everybody tweeted us with all inputs in tweeters. Twitter gave us so many things to be shared across public. So are we data generators? Yes, we are data generators. So how much volume of data we generate? That it is again a wonderful question. How much data we generate? How many WhatsApp we have done? How many photos we have changed? How many profile photos our children have changed? How many profile photos you have changed? Your youngsters, your siblings have changed. When we look in, we can see that every time your status, everything generated. So is that when I get deleted, it's get deleted? Again, the question is no. The data is stored in a database server. It has been. And why do we store? Because it has become a resource. Data has become a resource.